Welcome to Comeback Class, a podcast that'll teach you how to turn your breakup into the best thing that ever happened to you. And now your host, Lauren Lewis.
Welcome back to Comeback Class. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode. If you love the podcast and you haven't done so already, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you never miss a new episode. Before we get started this week, I have a really exciting announcement. And over the last several months, people have been requesting or asking me if I do one-to-one private coaching, which I never thought that I would offer something like that. I didn't realize that that was something that people would really want from me. But I have decided that I'm going to go ahead and start doing one-on-one private coaching. I'm going to be limiting the spots to 10 simply so that I can put my focus and my energy on helping those select few people that have chosen to work with me privately. I don't want to overdo it, so to speak, but I'm going to be opening it up to 10 people, and it's going to be happening relatively soon. What you can do now is head to tools.theheartbreaknurse.com/coaching if that is something that you're interested in. And when you go there, you're going to put in your email address, and that's going to add you to an interest list. So once I get everything organized, ready to go, everybody that told me that they were interested, they will get more information on how to sign up. So if you are going through a breakup, divorce, complicated relationship, or any kind of life setback, and you think you want some guidance from me one-on-one, then make sure you go to tools.theheartbreaknurse.com/coaching and add your name to the list, and you will be hearing from me very shortly. In today's episode, we're going to talk about fulfillment and how to live a more fulfilled life. And I got the idea to talk about this topic when I was listening to an audiobook, and they had mentioned another book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And as strange as it may sound, I live my own life from the future. So I think about if I were at the end of my life and I knew that I was going to die relatively soon, what would I want to be my truth? What would I want to have done or experienced or accomplished? And I don't know that I would have thought about approaching life this way if I didn't work in healthcare. I think working in healthcare and having the privilege and the challenge of taking care of people when they are in these life stages, it really makes you do a lot of self-reflection. So I am very grateful that I've been able to have that experience and that I'm able to have that kind of rare perspective. So basically, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying was a book written by a palliative care or hospice nurse, so someone that worked with patients who were nearing death, and she wrote about their regrets. Their top 5 regrets. So they are, starting with number 5, I wish I had let myself be happier. Number 4 was, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Number 3, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And the number 1 regret of the dying was, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. So looking at this list, all of these make a lot of sense. But when I look at the top regret, wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, rather than the life that others expected of me. To me, that means living a life of personal fulfillment. And fulfillment is a very subjective experience. It involves a deep sense of satisfaction, contentment, and purpose in life. But it's about living authentically And it's about aligning our actions with our values and finding meaning in the way that we live our lives and in what we do every day. So how can you live a life that is true to yourself and live a life of fulfillment? So number one is to define your own success. Rather than conforming to the expectations of society, you need to define what success actually means to you based on your values, your passions, your interests. You need to set your own goals and work towards them with intention. And it is so easy in this society that we live in to want to conform, right? It's in our nature to want to be accepted. So a lot of times we do things in an effort to be accepted and to not stand out. And this originates all the way back to our grade school days, our elementary school days. We do things because we want to fit in. And then as we become adults, we try to figure out what determines whether or not someone is successful. And for some people that is, going to college and getting a certain type of job and making a certain amount of money. And that is what is considered successful by the general masses. But the truth is, success is whatever you define it to be. And you never have to live your life by these societal norms. You can choose your own definition of what success means and pursue that for yourself. So let's just say, for example, that so far your idea of being successful has originated from this thought that money makes you successful. And the more money that you have, the more successful you are. I can't remember where I saw this. It was in some documentary, but they were interviewing this guy who was a filmmaker, I believe, director, something like that. And he had become wildly successful. He'd made tons and tons of money. And he had all the things. He had the houses, the cars, the vacations, all the things that he could possibly want. So he gets all of these things. He acquires all of these things after he becomes super successful. And he realizes that he's not happy. And he, in fact, doesn't really care that much about having all these things. So he gets rid of all of it. And not only that, but a large portion of his wealth, he decides to donate to charity. And from then on, just lives a very modest life in a modest house. And I don't even think he had a car. I think he decided he wanted to ride his bike everywhere for transportation. So, and this is just kind of an extreme example, but you can see that even though society tells us a lot of time that having all kinds of money is what determines your success, this was someone who had all of that and he still wasn't fulfilled. So he went ahead and got rid of a lot of those things and ended up finding fulfillment in a simpler life and not having all of these extravagant things. For some people, they define success in their career as being able to climb all the way to the top of the pyramid, to be the CEO or something like that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with living this way if you have really high career aspirations and you want to be in leadership, or if you want a lot of money too. That's there's nothing wrong with that, because like I said, success, your definition of success is very personal. It's whatever you want it to be. So just to get a little bit personal for a second, to kind of show you how I have changed the way I live my life based on my own definition of success. I used to think this way, that it was important to move up the ladder in terms of a career and get more degrees and certifications and do all those things. And I've realized that to me, that really doesn't matter. It seemed like it mattered and it seemed like that was the most important thing, but for me, I'm more interested now about having time to pursue passions and my own personal goals. So I'm less focused on my career because I'm more focused on those things. And it's definitely a personal choice. And I do think that sometimes people don't understand why I think that way, or why I'm not like so hungry to kind of climb to the top. But because I'm so young and I still have so much of my career ahead of me. But it's just that I think a different way. That's my definition of success, is being able to enjoy the things in life that are important to me and not spend as much time completing tasks or taking on more career-related responsibilities. Now, we can talk about defining success all day long, but I want to keep rolling on this list. So, number 2, when it comes to ways to live a more fulfilled life, is to cultivate meaningful relationships. You definitely want to surround yourself with people who are going to lift you up, to support you, people who have similar values that you do. Having a meaningful life means having deep, authentic connections with people, whether those be family, friends, or the people in your community. And you want to make sure that you invest time and effort into nurturing these relationships. This is one of those things we tend to learn as we get older, right? When we're younger, it's a lot more about having more friends. It's more quantity versus quality. Whereas when we get older, it changes a little bit and we're more focused on the quality of our relationships versus how many friends that we have. And you can have lots of quality friendships, and that is awesome too. But it's just important that these relationships are authentic and that you share similar values with these people who you are choosing to give time to and emotional energy. Number 3 is to practice gratitude. And this is something that we talked about a few weeks ago. We dedicated an entire episode to practicing gratitude because it's just that important. Sometimes it does take work to consciously remind ourselves to think about the positive things in our life. Hopefully, as you practice and as you change your mindset, it's something that will become more natural because, like we've talked about before, our brains tend to focus on the negative. That is just what they automatically shift to. So we have to retrain our brain to focus on the positive things and to focus on the aspects of our life that we are grateful for and that we appreciate. And that includes the people in our lives, the experiences we get to have, and the opportunities that bring us joy. So when you start to shift your mindset and have that perspective of, I'm so grateful that I have, instead of I wish I had, or I'm sad that I don't have, blah, 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 it's really going to enhance your overall well-being and your emotional wellness. Step number 4 to living a more fulfilled life is to pursue personal growth. You want to continuously challenge yourself to learn, to grow, to evolve. I remember I heard Tony Robbins say that if we're not growing, we're dying. And he means that in the spiritual sense, that we constantly need to be improving ourselves and to be invested in learning something, whether it's more about ourselves or the world around us. We are just like plants. We need water, we need sunlight in order to be able to grow. And a lot of these things which fit under that personal growth umbrella, that is our water, that is our sunlight, that is our food, that is what's going to help us grow and flourish and live really fulfilled lives. Number 4 is something that I probably mention in every single episode, and I feel like I'm calling myself out when I remind you to do this, but it's to take care of your physical health. The truth is that your physical health plays such a crucial role in your overall well-being, and self-care is just, it needs to be a priority. And this includes regular exercise, eating a balanced diet, staying hydrated, getting enough sleep, and making sure that you're taking care of any medical needs that you may have. And I know that this is hard sometimes, especially when life gets in the way, but the truth is everything kind of stems from your physical health, right? You're not going to be able to go on and live this healthy, productive, fulfilled life if, from on the inside, you're not doing very well. And this has been something that I have been working on to the best of my ability. And I hear you. I know it's hard to do all of the things to take care of yourself. But the truth is, it's just one of those things that we can't ignore for too long because it will catch up to us. So even if you can just do one small thing every day that's going to contribute to your physical health and your physical well-being, it is definitely worth it. So when I was doing my research on this topic, there was one suggestion that I was kind of like, I don't know about that. And I'm going to tell you why. So number 6 is to find balance. Now, I think sometimes we are taught to believe that balance is easily achievable when in reality, it's not. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. So the way that I think about things, when I have goals and things that I'm working towards, I have to understand that my life is going to be out of balance for a little while. The real way to find balance is to see life as seasons. So if you're working towards something, that should be your main focus for a season. And as you start building these main pillars and you have these seasons of your life where you are working on different life categories, maybe your health or your career or your relationships, you're going to have to put the majority of your focus on whatever that category is, whatever that goal is, and pursue that for a season. I think the reason that we are told to pursue balance so much is to help us avoid burnout. So I think there's a difference. So while I don't necessarily believe that you should strive for balance because it is something really difficult to do, I think you do need to set boundaries and learn how to manage your time effectively, learn how to manage your self-care, and learn to say no to people. So I guess in that way, finding balance would mean making sure that you are prioritizing the things that are important to you, which sometimes means you have to release some of the other things that are maybe not as important, or some things that maybe other people are putting on your plate. So it's okay to feel like your life is not perfectly balanced. Just make sure that you are doing all those other things. Number 7, and one of my favorite ways to pursue a more fulfilled life, is to give back to others. When you are helping people and giving back to those you love or to your community, it can bring a deep sense of fulfillment. You can volunteer, you can donate, you can engage in random acts of kindness. When you are contributing to something that is bigger than yourself, it is going to create a true sense of purpose. And that's something that is very, very fulfilling. Number 8 is to embrace mindfulness. So when you are participating in your gratitude practice, you are also practicing mindfulness and being fully present in the moment. You're paying attention to your thoughts, your feelings, all of your senses, and you are engaging in activities that bring you joy. And imagine if you made this an everyday practice. Imagine if you did this every single day, how much joy and how much peace it would bring you. And it can definitely feel like a project if you've never practiced these things before, if you've never tried gratitude practice or being mindful, self-reflection, things like that. But here is the absolute truth, and that is you, as an individual, yourself, you are the most important project that you will ever have in life. And that includes even when you're married or you have children, because everything stems from inside of you. You can't teach your children to live a fulfilled life if you yourself don't even know how to do it, right? So it's important to teach yourself so that you can set an example for others. Number 9 is super important, and that's to follow your passions. If you don't know what you're passionate about, I really encourage you to think about what just truly brings you so much joy and happiness, and you would do it all day long if you could, and you don't even care about money. I suppose that's the easiest way to think about it, but most of us probably have some kind of activity or hobby that really just brings us a lot of joy, whether it's art, music, sports, some kind of creative expression. It's just whatever makes your soul come alive. And this doesn't have to be the thing that you do to make money. It could just be something that you do in your free time when you're not working, or you could be someone that is dead set on having your passion be your life's work. Either way, having a passion of some kind will definitely help you live a more fulfilled life. Tip number 10 on how to live a more fulfilled life is to practice self-compassion. Make sure that you're being kind with yourself, that you're being patient, that you're treating yourself with the same care and consideration that you would offer to someone that you love. Practice self-acceptance and forgive yourself for any mistakes or setbacks. Understand that life is a journey and it's going to have its ups and downs, and you're going to learn a ton, sometimes not in the way that you planned it, but it's important to be compassionate with yourself and to love yourself just as you love those that are in your inner circle. One of my greatest hopes for you is that you learn to have the courage to live a life that is true to yourself, because this life is a gift and we only get one, and I want you to make the very most of it. That's what I have for you this week. Thanks so much for hanging out with me once again on Comeback Class. If you love the podcast, make sure you leave a rating or review wherever you listen. And I want to remind you once again that if you are interested in having one-on-one private coaching with me, I want you to go to tools.theheartbreaknurse.com/coaching and sign up so that you can find out when we're going to get started. Thanks again, and I will see you right here next week.